I'm just gonna be real with you. If you used the version 3.2 to study for the exam, you would not fail because you didn't use the 4.0. They're fairly similar. If you just want the headline and you don't want all the detail, I can tell you there's like one new style, 2 styles that have been removed. Those all have to do with IPAs, of course. And there's a little more detail in there on different sections, which I'm gonna tell you about right now. What's up, beer geeks? Chris here. I am the guy behind Beer Scholar, and we are at Old Devil Moon, my bar in San Francisco. The question that I have been getting the most lately on Facebook and by email concerns the new syllabus for the Certified Cicerone exam. And so here I have version 3.2, which was the now old one, and the new version 4.0, which just came out about a month ago and went into effect on September 1st. I've sat down with these and gone through them line by line to figure out exactly what the differences are, and I think it's time to tell you all about it, since you are definitely curious, as you have made me aware by asking. So let's take a seat and just kind of explore what is new in the version 4.0 syllabus for the Certified Cicerone exam. Most people study for this test for like, a year or months for sure. Very few people are just like, I want to take the Certified Cicerone exam. They're giving one in a month. I'm just going to cram for it. I mean, you can do that. And actually, if you do want to do that, my study guide for sure is the best way to go because it is all very well organized in an outline form that tracks the syllabus. But people who have purchased it recently have definitely been freaking out a little bit like, oh my God, is it up to date with version 4.0? Of course, I felt like I better go through this line by line, as I have done every time a new syllabus has come out. And I update my guide, of course. Right now, we're gonna talk about a few of the highlights. So here we go. Only the important stuff. There's definitely more detail when it comes to oxidation character. The syllabus kind of used to indicate that like once a beer was oxidized, it was going to taste papery and cardboardy, but really there's a little more of a scale there. There's a little more of a flow from where, hoppy flavor starts to fall off, then there's a little more malt focus that starts to happen in the beer before it becomes like waxy or cardboardy or sherry-like. So they've added more detail on that. In the area where they're talking about general freshness, they note that most beer, if refrigerated, can remain fresh for up to 6 months if it's bottled or canned, but then they have a separate note that says hoppy styles like IPA are more susceptible to the effects of time and can show flavor changes in as little as 3 months. In our current era, we're obsessed with freshness, and IPAs and hoppy beers are particularly affected by age because hop character just fades more readily. So they make note of that. That's something you should know for sure. And they talk about oxidation. They talk about diminished hop flavor and aroma, malt shift towards honey, caramel, toffee, and then it's going into the papery, wet cardboard kind of flavors. So it's just more detail, it's something that you would learn when studying for the Certified Cicerone exam and studying oxidation, I think. Anyway, there's a little more detail about storing beer, that temperature changes within a reasonable range. Your storage is usually going to be around 38 degrees Fahrenheit. Room temperature is, they're saying, around 68 to 77 Fahrenheit. And they're saying if the temperature changes here within that range, like because it got put on a truck that isn't a cooler truck, so it didn't get cold chained all the way, as long as it didn't go way over those kind of room temperature levels, it's still probably going to be okay. But, obviously that's not good for it. Ideally, it's cold chained the whole way. Just a little more detail there. They note that skunky flavors can be created by LED lights as well as sunlight and fluorescent lights, which they probably added because a lot of beer fridges nowadays come with LED lights in them. What else do we have here? Yes, beer pumps were added as something you should know about. Flow control faucets were added as something you should know about. In addition to like nitro faucets and standard faucets. Just little details. Your personal protective equipment when cleaning, now it's rubber gloves and eye protection. You no longer have to wear a rubber apron, which is laughable because I'm pretty sure no one ever put on a rubber apron to clean a beer line. There's new information, added information in the sort of beer clean glassware section. This is so obvious. I mean, if you work for an elite beer bar, it doesn't matter if your customer pushes their beer glass across the bar after they've finished their beer and says like, just refill it. Like, you're never gonna do that, right? You're gonna be like, we don't do that. It's not sanitary, and it just looks bad. I mean, here's a clean glass, right? I mean, duh. But they are specific about it now. Do not refill a used glass. They also note, do not use a glass rinser on a glass that has been drunk out of, right? So if you do that, you're contaminating the whole glass rinser. So never do that. And that should be obvious, but now it's in there. A little extra info on washing machines. It already said like you should have a separate washing machine for beer glassware. Now they're going a little further and saying, if you're also washing glassware in there that was for cocktails, if they have eggs or cream in them, those also shouldn't go in the same washer as beer glasses, because then you're getting oils and other things on the glassware. It might not be beer clean. It's just something to know. They've also added that you should check the interior of the dishwasher to make sure it is free of mold and debris as one of the steps that you take. They note that when you're preparing to serve, that your glassware should not be warm to the touch. Again, I feel like that's obvious. And if you have a glass rinser at your bar, which I think most even half decent bars do now, you can use that to cool them down. It's one of the things they do. Of course, if you're in the middle of an event and people are crushing your glassware so fast that you're just pulling them straight out of the washer to refill them, and we've had this problem at Old Devil Moon repeatedly when we have events. I mean, you can't have enough glassware, especially when you do small pours like we do and everybody wants to line up flights, right? Sometimes you just gotta turn on the sink and run cold water over your glassware. I mean, it sucks, but sometimes you have to do it. There's a little more information about corked beers and how to be safe with them, how to remove the corks, just a little more detail there. There's a whole new section there on opening wax dipped bottles. Nothing that's gonna blow your mind there, but that's new. The amount of head that is appropriate for German wheat beers and Belgian ales. It used to say 2 to 4 inches, now it says 2 to 3 inches, which I think is reasonable. I mean, 4 inches it's a pretty damn big head, but that's just like a tiny detail, but it seems like the kind of thing that'll show up in a question. So I would definitely keep that in mind. 2 to 3 inches of head for Belgian and German wheat beers. All right, they added Crowlers to the draft service bit where they talk about growlers and draft beer to go. Oh, okay, so this is for real something that's meaningful. There is a bunch of new information that they want you to know about casks. And there's a whole book on casks, which I will link in the description. So go check that out. It's great. And I think that every truly great beer bar should have some kind of should have one cask ale on draft. But that's my opinion. I love them. I know they're not the biggest seller, but you should know how to do it, how to tap them and all that stuff. So there's a whole bunch of new information about that. And that used to only be on the advanced level exam. There's a certain book that you're gonna need for that. All right, so now we're on to beer styles. There's very little that has changed. The only differences are the addition of NEPA, Northeastern IPA, New England IPA, whatever you want to call it. I like to call it hazy IPA. They've added that as a style, and it was added to the BJCP recently, so that information is out there. They removed black IPA and white IPA and specialty IPA. There's still the specialty beer section, so those specialty IPAs would fit in there anyway. To finish things out, I mean, there's a little bit of new information about when you're doing beer evaluation, that the temperature of the beer will affect your evaluation in the sense that when the beer warms up, it's easier to get that sensory information because the volatile compounds in there that are the aroma that go up into your nose, those more readily come out of solution if the beer is a little warmer. So you'll see people who do sensory analysis, sometimes they'll get a beer and they'll cup it in their hand to warm it up to get that better sniff. And on the topic of sniffs, they actually added a new kind of sniff for doing sensory analysis. It used to be the short sniff, the long sniff, the covered sniff. They've now added the drive-by sniff. So, you know, give it a little swirl, give it a little drive-by on the nose. Oh, and there was the distant sniff too. But yeah, the drive-by sniff is the new one. When it comes to hops, for American hops, it used to say piney, citrus, resiny, tropical fruit, caddy. They've now added onion/garlic, which anyone who drinks American IPAs knows is definitely a real thing. Your Simcoes and other American hops are gonna get, on occasion, that onion garlic character. The Australian and New Zealander hop section has some new stuff in it. Passion fruit, melon, pear, stone fruit, tropical fruit. Yeah, that is about it. Not that much has changed. I mean, you're talking like maybe 2% of the syllabus here is different. Yeah, so okay, a new method of clarification for a beer. You know, they've got filtration and finings, settling and aging were on the list before. They've added lagering to that now. Minor detail. And now we're moving into the pairing beer with food section. There's a little bit of new stuff here. Mainly, they've now included the word harmonize along with complement and resonate for beer and food pairings and how they interact. So they've now got harmonize on there, and they've switched up some of the other terms. Like for fermentation derived flavors, esters, it used to say that it harmonized with certain fruit flavors in food. Now it says complement. I mean, stuff like that it's minor, but actually trying to figure out what all those different terms mean exactly has been frustrating to me, and I think is clearly not been dialed in a super specific way. What the differences are between things like harmonize, complement, and resonate. So that's something I think we're still all figuring out, but for the certified level, those terms are mostly interchangeable, so you don't have to worry about it too much. And that, I believe, is it. So that's it. So if you were freaking out because you've been studying for the Certified Cicerone exam and you were using my study guide or, you know, version 3.2 of the syllabus, and now version 4.0 came out and those tests started on September 1st, yeah, just don't freak out. It's not that much different. I bet if you didn't even know that 4.0 came out and you just took the test having studied 3.2, you would not fail because of that. You might miss a couple questions or something, but you're definitely not going to fail. So version 4.0, not that much different, hardly a revolutionary change. It's not like when the BJCP came out with their new style guidelines in 2015, 2016 and like changed tons of the information that you had to know for the Cicerone exams. It's not like that at all. And until the BJCP comes out with a new style guidelines, we're probably good to go, you know, using this syllabus. I'm sure there will be minor updates, but they tend to all look pretty minor until there's a big BJCP update. So anyway, if this was helpful, hit the like button, subscribe to Beer Scholar for tons of good information on passing the Cicerone exams and on beer in general. So thanks for watching, and thanks for hanging out with me at Old Devil Moon. Cheers, y'all. Good luck with your tests. Good luck with your studying.